What if you were told that the Cold War, a period of political and military tension, wasn't just about two superpowers flexing their nuclear muscles? It was more than that. Imagine the world in the aftermath of World War II. Nations lay in ruins, economies shattered, and amidst this devastation, two nations emerged as superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union. These nations, however, held starkly different visions for the future. On one side, the United States with its belief in capitalism and democracy, and on the other, the Soviet Union, championing communism and a state-controlled economy. This wasn't just a dispute over who gets what slice of the pie. It was a clash of ideologies, a fundamental disagreement about the best way to govern society. The devastation of World War II had left a power vacuum, and both superpowers were eager to fill it. The stage was set for a confrontation, not of armies, but of ideologies, a war that was cold because it never heated into direct conflict. The Cold War wasn't a conventional war. It was a constant dance of power and influence around the globe. Our story unfolds with the formation of NATO in 1949, a collective defense mechanism against the perceived threat of Soviet expansion. The Soviets responded 5 years later in 1955 with their own alliance, the Warsaw Pact. These two military alliances, one led by the United States and the other by the Soviet Union, marked the clear division of Europe into two opposing camps. The year 1950 saw the outbreak of the Korean War, a brutal conflict that went on for 3 years. It was a proxy war, where the US and the Soviet Union did not fight directly but supported opposing sides. The war ended in a stalemate, further deepening the chasm between the two superpowers. The tension escalated in the early 60s with the Cuban Missile Crisis. In 1962, the world held its breath as it teetered on the brink of nuclear war. The Soviets had placed nuclear missiles in Cuba, just 90 miles off the coast of the US. It was a tense 13-day standoff, which thankfully ended in a peaceful resolution. Then came the Vietnam War, another proxy war that lasted from 1955 to 1975. It was a war of attrition and guerrilla warfare that left deep scars on the American psyche and further strained relations with the Soviet Union. Parallel to these conflicts was the space race. It was a competition of technological prowess and national pride. The Soviets took an early lead with the launch of Sputnik in 1957. But the US had the last laugh when they put a man on the moon in 1969. Every event, every crisis, every war during this period wasn't just a standalone incident. They were moves in a high-stakes chess game where the board was the world and the pieces were nations. The Cold War was a chess game on a global scale, where every move had the potential to tip the balance towards a nuclear catastrophe. So, what is the legacy of this silent war that spanned almost half a century? Let's break it down. The Cold War was more than a conflict. It was an ideological tug-of-war between capitalism and communism that reverberated across the globe. The military tension was palpable, with nations on the brink of nuclear catastrophe more than once. And the global impact? It was immense. The Cold War divided the world into two blocks, influencing political decisions, economic systems, and social structures. It fueled proxy wars in far-off lands and sparked a space race that pushed humanity to new frontiers. But then, it ended. The fall of the Berlin Wall, the collapse of the Soviet Union, these marked the close of this icy chapter. Yet, the end of the Cold War didn't mean the end of its influence. The Cold War might be a thing of the past, but its echoes can still be heard in the geopolitics of today. It's a stark reminder of how ideological differences can shape the world.